Do you know there are snakes in React and they are running amok like Anaconda with Jennifer Lopez? So let's use React to catch them while we still can.
So by the end of the session, we will have a snake board like this. If I press the right arrow, my snake moves to the right. If I press the down, and so on and so forth. Left, of course, is this, and top, of course, is this. You see something like this. That is the aim of our session. And everything is being done with React, and we'll be using heavily the useState and useEffect. So let's get started. Here, what I have here is an out-of-the-box Create React app. If you don't know how to create a React app, please have a look at the description below. I have put in a link on how to do so. To start, I would delete some of the files which I don't need. I always like to keep everything clean. So let's delete all these files which we do not need in the project. Yes, remove everything. That could do apps. I don't care about this app. Okay. Let's delete this. Put in test. Let's go to index. All these things. Voila, voila, voila. Now, if I save it, npm start, and if everything goes right, we should see. Would you like to test it on this one? No, I would like you to start it on 3000 itself. And if everything goes right, we should be able to see our code. There it is. So it opens up. The only problem is it has opened up it in Edge. Let's kill this one and we use a real browser. Okay. Let's go here. That's better. Good. Before we start writing any code, let us see what is the logic behind the snake board. It's pretty simple if you think about it. What we have to do is to create two-dimensional array of n by n. So in my case, it's 10 by 10. It can be 20 by 20, anything you want. I cover all the cells in this matrix by a blank image. So all the cells you see over here, these are all blank images. And I have another arrow where I specify which cell I want to show a snake in. So for example, in this case, I have an array in which I am storing three values, x0, y0, x0, y1, and x0, y2. So that is the three cells in my array. And then I check of all the array of all the cells which I have, what are the cells in which I want to show snake? That is my selected array. Otherwise, I show blank. What happens if I press, let's say, the right arrow? My snake moves to the right. Why? The reason is I remove from a selected array, I remove the last entry, which was x0 in this case. I figure out what my head was, which was the last entry of my selected array previously before I clicked the right arrow, which was x0, y2, and then I add the y dimension. So I add 1 plus to that, and my whole images move on the right. And then I recalculate my whole matrix again. Similarly, if I keep on doing this, it works. If I go down, it goes like this, and this, and this. Right? It's just I'm playing with my x and y variables, shifting one entry from the array and adding a new one. Pretty straightforward. Before you ask me why is my vertical dimension x and horizontal dimension y, it should have been the other way around. I know that, but that is because of the way I'm adding the array. We shall see that in the code. So without any much ado, let's dive in. that was our application. The first thing I want to do is to create my two-dimensional array so that I can put all the images in it. To do that, let's write some code. What I need to do is let's keep it like this. We will do it later on. So the first thing I'm going to do is to say what is my dimension I want. Let's say it's 10 by 10. Now let's create our array. Let my initial array be. How do I create an array in JavaScript? It's from lots of different ways. I could have, for example, loop for I is 0 and then I is 10, something like this. And then again, another loop for for j is 0 and j less than 10, and then created another variable, start adding entries manually like initial array. Oh, come on, 0 and then j over here, blah, 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 blah. But that's an old procedural way of life. JavaScript is functional, remember, and I love it. Let's go ahead and use some magic. I would say create me an array from, that's a standard JavaScript functionality. I want an array of length 10. Sorry, make it 10, right? And this over here is a function which JavaScript gives it to me, and I can define for each entry what the values would be. And in my case, what I need is the 10 elements of another of the second row. So this is my, if you think about it, this is my X over here, the first one, and over here I transform it to the nth, the second dimension. I start adding the other entries to make it clear. Let's say this is the first element which it will be give it to me. So it will be x0, y0, x0, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, blah 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 blah. That is my index, and that's my initial array. And now I can define what do I want to do with my each axis. To do that, what I would do is over here, I need to create the 10 y's, right? So that it becomes x0, y0, right? And then I need to add something like, the second one would be x0, y1. That thing I would be doing here. All the y's will be added over here, while the x is already added by this element. So, right? Let's go ahead and try to do so. The format for that is, I would say, pretty straightforward. If I get an array like this, I can again get an array like this. So I'll say, give me another array from length, of course, is 10. So I will copy it up again. You have to be very cautious with the brackets, because if you miss one, then it's a bit difficult to figure out. The solution is to either use TypeScript or Prettier. It is an extension available in the Visual Studio Code. Just search for it from your extensions and you should find it. So if you see the colors I have, they are a bit of a help. Now, what do I want? I cannot name them as element index array because we have already defined this. So let's name them, I could say second dimension element. So that it's second dimension index. I won't be using it for this for the purpose of my demo, but it's always better to know what values I am getting. And then you will actually getting over here. For example, in the third value, you would actually get all the array object. Do have a look at the API documentation on Mozilla website. It's pretty interesting. Uh, and then I say ARR. What do I want to do? Nothing spectacularly difficult. I would say by each element for each element would be an object of the type X would be my index, which is my root. So X0, X1, X2, X3. And my Y will be S dimension index. Voila, does it save? Nope, I have some problem somewhere. It's always a pain in the to get. Yeah, I haven't defined my object properly. Come on, Jason, you idiot. Voila, I still have an accepted error function instead called expression. 932. Somewhere over here I have made a boo boo, and that would be this guy. I think need this one. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think this should be good. Why did we have an error when I was doing something like this? The reason for that is because the function, because I'm using a lambda expression over here, anonymous function, so the first value is supposed to be the return statement. If I put an array, then I need to put a return over here because then it's an actual function body which JavaScript expects. So if I remove it, let's go ahead. Always better to do a console.log just to see if my n-dimensional array is created. Two-dimensional array is created, sorry. Let's save it. Let's open our Chrome. And if you can see, if I can expand it, let's go ahead, expand it to big screen. And oops, it says X0, Y0. Why is it undefined? What is going on? The problem of live coding is that you always mess up something while doing it. By the way, a bear mark to anyone who can figure the error before I do. Please send me, just put it in the comments if you have figured it out before I did. Why is my initial array from? Everything seems to be fine. Why is it undefined? Maybe I just need to refresh. No, it's still a problem. Let's look at the code. Oh, you see the same mistake I did again. I put a brackets over here. So what it expects is it expects a return statement from here. So I had to either do return this, then it should work. Otherwise, I can just move the curly brackets because it expects a function body. So I don't need this. I don't need this. Yes, does it compile? Still, it's always TypeScript would, I think it's high time we move to TypeScript because at least it would catch these kind of errors. So I don't need this. Let's save it. Works okay. Let's go ahead. By the way, anyone who caught this error before me, as I said, please mention in the comments and I owe you a beer. Now, if I check my code, let's refresh the page. And I have my array object over here. I have my 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 9. Perfect. And then for each entry, we have our x0, y0, x0, y1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my each cell. So let's go ahead and draw this matrix on the screen with the help of an image. So I can comment this thing out. Over here, we would need a function which is get HTML. This is where all the JSX will be rendered. Const get HTML should be a function. And it should return. Let's go ahead. Initial array dot map root item and index console.log root item and then return none. So I will, since it's a bit complicated, I think it will be best for us to take baby steps and validate each line of code so that we are not mistaken. So what I'm going to do over here basically is to print the first row. So it should be something like, if everything is right, it should be x0 and y0, sorry, like this. What am I doing? Then it should be x0 and y1 all the way up till x0 to y9, something like this, right? Let's save it, change it over here, and that's it. So x0 y0 all the way till the 9. So this is the map function is looping through my first dimension of x. Similarly, you have x1 over here, x2 over here, and x2 over 3 over here, yeah, and so on and so forth. Now what I'll be doing is to loop further into each of these arrays, and then I will get actual cell x0, y0, x0, y1, blah, 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 blah. And I will create my HTML, the JSX in that inner loop, and then all the way send it to React to render my dashboard. So I don't need this thing. What I need is again another return statement. This time I will go to root item dot map. Okay, I'm always careful with the brackets. Let's destructure because I have x and y values now. So x and y. And then I can say span. Let's print just the text cell over here, and then we will replace it with an actual image. So is it working? All my cells are, it's not an n by n matrix, but everything is getting rendered in one line. It's not a matrix. The reason for that is because I'm rendering a lot of spans, and span will take all the lines, right? So I need to, for every change in x, I need to put a div so that it goes to the next line. So let's do that. I need to put a div. The question is where. I think it should be, so this is for this guy. Okay, let's put one more return here. So I need to put one more there. Oops, there, and move it in the next line. This should be div, and this should be another div. So if everything goes right this time, I should see my span slightly rightly pointed out. Let me quickly check if everything is right here. Oh, one more thing. Since this is JSX and this is JavaScript, so I need to put a bracket over there. If I share my screen, perfect. So I have my n by n matrix rolled out pretty well. So each one of them is a cell. Now what I need to do, I will simply replace my cell text with an actual image, um, the blank image, right? So let's go ahead, write that piece of code. I would go ahead, create a new folder called image, and in them I can add new file. Oops, not like this. Where is it? I wish there was, or maybe there is, but I can't. I wish there was a button link over here, add from an existing file or something like that. So I need to copy right now. So that means I need to go out of my editor, which I really don't like. Anyone who knows how to do this magic, let me know. So that's my image. Let's copy it, go back, paste it. My image is there. Yes, let's go ahead and import it. Import blank from blank dot, what was it, PNG or JPG? PNG, not PNG. So let's go ahead and import the snake also. Perfecto, perfecto, perfecto. Now all I need to do is just put my snake here. Somehow, whenever I think of snake, I think of it was an old Bollywood movie song, uh, which got associated in my mind with snake. The movie was about snakes with a lot of magic in it. So let's go ahead. I forgot to close my tag. Perfecto. If I save it, there's still some mistake. I'm not importing it from the correct path. So it should be, let's do it this way. I think there is image and then blank. Similarly, I replace this with, copy this and put it here. It compiles perfect. Let's see if my dashboard is loaded. Cool. That was, I think, the most difficult part, honestly. Let's see, what else do I need to do? I need to, for the start, I need to do two things. First, define what my three initial cells would be, where I would like to show the snake image. One. The second thing I need to do is to loop through my matrix, figure out which one was initially selected, and then replace them with snake. Right? Let's go ahead and do that part. Let me go ahead and define my initial state, which should be, let's call it use state. For those who are not well conversant with how useState works, how useEffect works, the two hooks which we'll be using heavily in this demo, I would be creating, or I plan to create a video of for these, just for the hooks for dummies. So if you're interested, please ping me on on YouTube or Twitter and let me know. I would be more than happy to do so. So let's go ahead and import use state here. I don't need this. I only need to use the use state. While we are here, let's also import use. Why does it not copy? Why? I don't want the definition. I just need the variable. Idiot. So from React, okay, looks okay. What do I need to call? So this would be my selected snake. Let's call it selected snake. It's an array again, and then I would say my set selected snake. That's my variable, and this is the function which React gives to me to change my selected snake over here. The set selected snake. Okay, and then I can define my initial value. It's an array of 3 entries. My initial cells, which I want to select, is x0. Oh, why am I talking C? X0, Y0. Voila. The other entry would be, let's copy it, x0, y0, then x0, y1. Remember, we are doing our snake on the horizontal axis. Similarly like this. Now, if you would like to change it to vertical, then of course it's very easy to just change the values of x and not tinker with the values of y. Let's save this thing. Is my syntax correct? So far, so good. No problem. Of course, it's not going to do anything. What I need to do is to change my HTML function to account for the fact that not all the cells would be blank. Some of them would be replaced with snake image. Basically, what I want to do is to map each of my x and y with one of the values over x and y. If the cell is same, then it's a snake image. Otherwise, it's a blank image. And the way to do that would be to do something like this. I can make go of this thing. Let's go here, brackets. Still compiling. Yes, still compiling. Perfecto. Now, I would say return selected snake dot findIndex, again a JavaScript function. If it loops through all the elements of an array, you define your function where you want to return true or false, a callback function. JavaScript will call your callback function one by one, and if you return, anytime you find an array which matches your value, you can return that value back. JavaScript will give you the index. So for example, let's say my array is 0, 1, 2, 3, and I say array.findIndex. I can write my own function to say, is 0 equal to my input value, my constant value, which could be, let's say, 3. So I can loop through each of them. The moment I find an index, I would return true. And then JavaScript will give me the index of 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 4. If it cannot find, then it's your guess is right. It will return me minus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through selected index snake, selected snake array, all the elements. So that means x0, x0, y0, y1, y2. Then do a further loop, or rather a map, on my initial array, and if my x and values will match, I return an index, right? So the way to do that is to say find index over here, I get my selected item. Selected item is basically one of these. Right. What do I want to do here? I want to return selected item dot x if it is equal to my this value, right, is equal to x. And I, by the way, for all those who are confused or surprised rather why I can never get my my symbols right is because I'm in Belgium. I'm using a French AZERTY keyword, but it's mapped to QWERTY. So in my mind it's QWERTY. My keyboard is AZERTY. I'm a crazy guy. I know. That's why sometimes I have to try a bit of time before I get it right. So if my selected y is equal to y, I just return that value, which is true and false, right? If I find it, then findIndex will return me the index. Otherwise, it returns me the -1. So that means what I can say over here is to say if an index was found, that means it was not equal to -1, right? What do you want me to do? I want you to return an image with the src of snake. Otherwise, you simply give me an image of blank. Okay, let's have a look at it. If everything is fine, looks okay, save it. Does it work? Looks perfect wise. Return statement is over here. And if I save it, refresh it, and we have our 3 snakes. Cool. Great, 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 great. It doesn't do anything, right? Because we will be putting those events listeners for our arrows. But before we do that, let's have a look at our code console. Was everything okay? Looks like that. No error, nothing. No, there is. You see? Warning, each child in list should have a unique key prop. What does it mean? Let's have a look at our HTML that is being rendered. So I have my div, which is coming from my base return statement. Then these are my X divs, for each X and for my each image. Now, what React expects us to do is that for each of these children, we should have some identifier. Similarly, for images, because these are all children of divs, we should have an identifier for each of these images. Why is that important? Because React, when it is reconciling during the render process your output of JSX with the actual root, with the actual DOM, it does something called of diffing and reconciling, and it needs to know what are the unique values, right? Because in that way it can figure out of all the tree structure which we have which we have in our application, which are the entries that were modified. So for example, let's say you have a div, then you have 10 images, but you have only changed the image number 10, right? So what React will be intelligent enough to figure out that the images of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, they haven't changed, just change the 10. And that's why React is so fast. Because honestly, what we are going to do this in this application is really at the at a cutting edge of React performance, because for every keystroke we are redoing the map, the complete 10 by 10. Okay, it's okay. Imagine if we are going to do 20 by 20, how many calculations, how much key structure React has to do. And if it is going to, for every keystroke, render the complete map, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of uh, calculations, lot of reconciling it to the DOM. So it's always better if you are looping through, if you have children, please put your, uh, please put unique values in the key for an image. So let's go ahead and do it. What I need to do is to put a key over here. We will define the key in a minute because it's multiple values. So a key over here, sorry, and then I also need to put a key in my images. Um, what should be the key, you ask? I will tell you what it should not be. It should not be a grid, a new grid, random grid which you generate, because if we are doing this, then React has no way, because in the first render you let's say we have two images, right? Image one, image two. The first time its ID is XYZ blah blah blah. Second times, because we are generating a new grid, we put it ABC blah blah blah. These two IDs are not same, so React gets confused and say, okay, since the ID is not same, maybe the complete tree has to be changed. It has to be a constant value. Every time I render my image, a particular image, let's say X0Y0 image over here, its ID has to be unique all across, all the time, all during all the life cycle of my application. So please never use random grids or don't create a new grid. The ideal candidates for this in your kind of applications would be the database ID, serial number, whatever you get from the backend. Most of the time in the JSON you would have an ID. Please use that to put it over here. In my case, since I don't have an ID as such, I would go ahead with my cells coordinates 000102 and so on and so forth. To do that, what I can write is to say my ID here would be div, and then I could give it root index. So it will be div 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go ahead and put it the same thing over here. Right, and this is my IMG, and then I can say dash, put it dollar minus, let's put again a dollar, my X and Y values. In this way, every time I render my component, my my ID will always be unique. X and Y. Let's copy this thing again till here, and we can replace it with this one. While we are here, let's put an alt property also, because React would like to have, it's not an error, but it's a warning from React. Let's call it, we can call it snake. I think I don't need queries over here. I can simply do this. So it should do, that's my snake, and for this it should be my blank. Let's save it. Does it compile? Looks to be okay. Let's see if my error has gone. Go here, console, remove everything, Control F5. I made a mistake because I need to replace it. Not like this, but dollar index and dollar. Save it, refresh and better works. As we can see here, if I refresh it, the errors are gone. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Let's go ahead. Now, what's the next thing I need to do? Um, the only thing now left is to tap onto my key event, my arrows up, down, bottom, left, and blah blah blah, and move my and change my selected snake. The moment I change my selected state, since my state has changed, React will figure it out, call the function again, which is getHTML, and everything else is already done. So let's go ahead. First thing, how to tap into the arrow click. So for that, I will use useEffect. What is useEffect? Nutshell, it's a function which it's a hook slash a function which React gives to you as a developer. React will load your component, load this hook after the component has rendered, so that you can do any side effects, anything which is not really part of your component UI. So most of the time you would listen to any events, keyboard events, mouse events, or what have you. Majority of the time, you would make an API call, get some data back, and update your state, and the component will re-render again. The arrow over here defines the dependency. Again, if you would like me to make a video explaining all these couple of important hooks and what their subtle differences are, please do let me know. I'd be more than happy to do so. So for the time being, I'm saying, okay, just render it once, and after that, I don't care. Oops. And return is the function which, once your component unloads, React will call this to do any kind of a cleanup effect. So in my case, I would like to listen to my events. So let's go ahead and say, what do I want to say? I would like to do window dot add event listener. Event is key down. Perfecto. Give me the event, and for every key down event, you just call my move snake function with the event, and then I don't need the false. So I want the false to be this, of course. So this should do. Of course, as a good programmer, a good guy, and somebody who really believes in saving Mother Earth and preventing wars, I would remove my event listener from here. Be a good citizen. Remove this. Of course, I don't have my move snake function, so this is okay. I would be defining that over here. Const move snake. It's my function. Let's go ahead. And then what do I need to do? I get my event, of course. Otherwise, what would I do? Let's do a switch based on e.key code. Now, I only want to listen to 4 events, 4 arrows up, down, bottom, left. So let's start with first a default, because if anything else you print, you I don't know, type X or A or B, any character, anything, I don't care, just do it, remove it. Now, and then I would put my 4 cases. You can refer online to what these codes are, or in my case, I just I hooked this function. I started pressing my arrows, and I got and I did a console dot log e.keycode and I found out what the key codes were. So 38, trust me, I know it is true. It's up. So we will do our magic later on here. Let's copy this thing up. La 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 la. 38 is for up. And what else do I have? 39 is for right. 39 is for, I'm going clockwise. Then I have 40 and 37. 40 is bottom or down, and 37 is go to the left. Compile, it seems to, oh, of course, I need to put an arrow because it's an arrow. So there are a couple of things I always miss, always miss, because I'm an old school programmer. Yeah, there was no arrows when I started learning development. So what do I need to do? Test it out. The easiest, I think, and I think you will agree with me, is the first case we do is we start moving it to the right side, right? That way we will have the basic code and then we will copy it. So what do I need to do? If it is on the right, let's see. Yeah, so I need to write it over here. Let's go ahead and get the last element first, because the last element will tell me my y zero. For example, I have my y2, so I will read this element, and if somebody puts on the right, I need to increase my y by 3 so that the arrow goes on the right side, and I need to move my x0 element over here, right? So let's go ahead now. I would say my last element should be selected snake dot length -1. If you're doing it live with me, please put a console.log so that you can have a look at it. But in my case, I will simply start writing the code. One thing I need to be aware of, it's not that a user can infinitely type on putting the right key and then keep on moving, because I have a limitation to my right end. It should not go out of 9 characters, right? Because my length is 10. So I will put a condition here. If my last element dot y is not equal to dim -1, right? So if I'm already at the position 9, then simply ignore. Otherwise, if I still have some bandwidth, then let new snake would be, that's my new array I would create. Is I'm going to do something which might sound very unintuitive. I could have done this. So for example, let's say I copy my selected snake, right? Then I say new snake dot shift, remove the first element, which is x0, y0. Then in the new snake, you push the new element, which is nothing surprising, is x should be my last element's x value, and the y should be my last element plus last element's y value plus 1. Once I get this, I should simply set the selected snake, right, and put my new snake over there. Ideally should work. I don't know. Let's see. I didn't write it that way when I was preparing for it. Let's refresh my screen. Mm, 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 mm. Let's go here. Looks okay. I do a right arrow. Hmm, nothing is happening. Why? Why would that be the case? Now I could have debugged it, but let's do a console.log and see what the hell is happening. First of all, is my control even going there? Console.log. Are you here? Rather, let's go Pink Floyd. Hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody? Okay, I won't go like that way. Um, hey, look at this. Somehow my arrow went over this because it's doing the rendition. So it is over there, but nothing seems to be happening. Let's check out why. Why is that the case? So I don't know if you are aware of it. Let's put a breakpoint. I could do this here. It goes there, perfecto. I get my selected state, which is, X07Y89. So it already did, but didn't move. Interesting. And for that, why did it not move? It didn't move. Let's do a refresh. Sorry. Now if I do it, what is my selected snake? Initial value, perfectly fine. Nothing wrong about it. I get my y, which is 2, dim minus 1 is 9, goes over there, picks up my new snake, la, la, new snake, 1, 2, 3, selected state, 1, 2, 3. You see the problem? You see the problem? My selected state has already changed. The array which React was giving to me has already, because it's a shallow copy, and I am changing my state, which is blasphemy. It's blasphemy to change your state, React state, directly. You never do that because React doesn't like it. React is the god over here. So what I should have done is to make a deep copy of my array and then used it. That is the first thing. The second thing I should have done, the second thing I should have done in my code base, let's switch, is to not use my set selected snake, the state function, directly with a variable, because that's the rule number 2 of useState. If your new state value depends upon what the value was before, then you should always use a function. What I should have done is something like this: selected snake, not set selected snake, but selected snake, and then I should have done my whole processing of the function and updated this value. Never, so two rules again I'm repeating: never change your state, React state, directly, the variable directly. It has to be through the function so that React is aware of it. And second, if your new state depends upon the calculation of your new state, depends upon what the variable was, what the state was before in the previous render, then make sure you take that value. So that means if I'm taking this value from here, I need to put all this thing in my set selected state. Make sense? So let's go ahead. I would do it over here. Okay, console can stay like this. That is for this set selected. It's a function. That is my function. I can copy paste the complete thing over there. Um, yes, let's put it over here. Last element, never change your state directly. It's a shallow copy, so I need to make a deep copy. Deep copy can be made by, you can do object.create new and lots of other things. I find it strange. I just I convert it to a string and then use it again. JSON.parse, JSON.stringify. It's a known technique. So I convert it to a string first. This way, my selected snake guy is not changed. So let's do it this way, blah, 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 blah. And then I return my snake here. Perfecto. I return it since it's a function, right? I got the returns. I need to put every time I have to return some state. I cannot leave React dangling, right? So else should just return whatever because if I'm not doing anything, I have already reached the end, then I'm not just return my existing snake and React will not do anything. So now if I do this, let's see if it compiles. Compiling is already something. It's telling me, hey, idiot, you never do, you need to do double equal because it checks the types. Everything looks okay. Let me check quickly. Is there anybody in there? La, 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 la. Is there anyone home? Yes, let's go ahead. Let's see. Switch to main. Refresh. Okay, I don't care about debugging right now, honestly. Let's close this guy. Ha! My snake moves. My snake moves. Okay, it doesn't do anything up and down because we haven't written the code. So let's go ahead and copy the code. Now, if I was a programmer who really believed in world peace and humanity, I would have moved at least this part in a function and then referred to that function over here, kept the code a bit clean. But since I'm a bit lazy right now, I will simply copy this entries and paste it here. I need to change some values, of course. Let's go ahead for 38. Since it's up and down, so if it is up, so I need to check with X and I cannot go till 0. Right. And what do I need to do? For up, I need to reduce X with 1 and Y shall remain whatever it was. Okay. 39 we already did. For 40 is down, so again I need to play with my X value. So X should this should be X, and X should be X plus 1. Y remains the same. I hope I'm doing it correct. And 37 should be oh no, 37. What was 37? 37 I think was left. Yeah, I wrote it down. 37 should be left. Left is Y, should not be 0 because we don't want to go that way. So Y should be Y minus 1. Does it compile? It does compile. Does it work? Let's see. Please work. Ha! It works. Look at my snake. La 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 la. Let's take some more fun with it. What if I change the 10 to 20? Would it work? Now it's a lot of calculations. Let's check if React can do it. Ooh, it's a big matrix. Let's reduce the size a bit. 20 by 20. Can I make a bit more bigger? Yeah, I think this should be good. Refresh it. Cool. Pretty nice. Another variation of this snake ladder could be random popping of snake. So rather than using arrows, I would put a set interval function in my useEffect. useEffect, yes. Was it useEffect? Where did it would be? Yeah, I would put it in my useEffect function, set interval for 10 seconds, after every second, sorry, and randomly generate the x value through math.random, y value through math.random, putting it between 0 to 10, 0 to 10, and then just pop up that image. I will leave it up to you, but if you need some help in doing that, please do let me know. Super enthusiastic about React and how fast it is, because remember, it does sound very simple, but behind the scene, React really has to do a lot of calculations. It's not a, it is quite a feat, and the reason it does it can do it so fast is three things. First, you always put your keys, unique values, constant values, which persist through render. Never touch your state variable directly. Use a function, and if your new state depends upon the value of the previous state, never just don't update that state directly in the function. Use an arrow, use a function, the function signature for set state variable like we did over here, and write your code. So, and lastly, believe in React. It's a super duper framework and I love working in it. A big shout out to Gumus Ama Pasalandi. The basic idea of replacing the images and creating a matrix through image was his. I read it from his blog when I was learning React. The algorithm he uses is a bit different, so I would recommend you to have a look at his code base also. He's creating the array differently, and he has used a different mechanism of swapping the images. Nice blog. So thanks a lot, Gumis. I would put his Twitter account and link to his blog into the description. If you would like me to do any other video explaining any nuances of JavaScript or React, let me know. I'll be more than happy to do it. I'm running out of ideas sometimes. And if you like this video, it was helpful, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Always forget the order. And please let your friends also know about it. Any appreciation from your side will be deeply valued. I see you in the next session. Till then, bye bye.